Um, so I don't have a ton of things to go over this week, but hopefully it gives us time then for some more open conversation. As far as housekeeping and events go, we did have a Twitch test stream clinic this morning. I haven't heard yet how that went, but I know that Wayne was saying that he was working through some things with community members, so we would like to do more of those testing clinics, I think, just kind of as an ongoing thing in the future. And then we just have a regular Twitch streaming schedule that is up and running. The other item that we were trying to get together was this kind of formal PR merge jam event. We are not going to be able to do and organize an event in time for the code freeze to hit. What we can do is if people have PRs that we need to port to master that are tested, please reach out to us and we can do what we can to get those in or to support you with them. But we aren't going to be able to do a formal merge at this time. We will work on something for the next release. And then working groups in the next 60 to 90 days, we want to start working on getting the working groups some more goals and work plans. I'll be reaching out to work group leaders, kind of talking with you one-on-one about what it is that you'd like to do with the work group, what you'd like to accomplish, and then start sharing some of the work group's goals and the different open hours for the week. And then the other kind of big piece of housekeeping is that we had a lot of requests for an RSS feed. We do now have an RSS feed that's live. It only deals with security updates. You can find that on the SaltStat community site, and I shared it in Slack and IRC as well. So that's something that people can stay informed about any security updates that we might have. Any other housekeeping items I missed? Sage, Mo?
Not
All right.
from me, Cassandra, thank you.
Okay, cool. And then as hopefully y'all saw yesterday that we had the 2019.2.5 and 3000.3 releases came out. Sage is going to kind of cover some of what was included in those releases.
Mo, I think that's actually going to be you.
Yes, absolutely happy to do that. So for everybody in the community, first and foremost, hopefully everybody has seen the announcements that came out for the release. As a reminder, per the blog posts and so on, this particular update, which is 3000.3 and 2019.2.5, was really trying to address two functional regressions that were updated by the CVE releases that came right before them. The documentation, of course, refers to the two issues. Those two issues were essentially do not affect the security, do not cause any issues as it relates to what the CVEs and the CVE releases and patches were trying to address. They are just simply trying to fix some functional regressions. We've actually monitored the downloads, and it looks like a variety of people have actually already are on those packages, downloading them and updating them and so on. Pleased to see that all of that has been taken care of, and folks are of course getting up to the most recent supported version. I believe there was a little bit of a bootstrap update that needed to taken care of. Imran, you've highlighted that, and Pedro has resolved it this morning. And I also know that as a result of that, the Docker pieces have been patched and updated. We do not anticipate, of course, at this stage, any further patch updates or any additional releases as it relates to the CVE. So as far as all of us here as a community are concerned, we've reached now sort of a junction and a milestone that says we have all the patches we need, we have all of the dot releases that we need as it pertains to making sure that we've taken care of the CVE issue. If there are any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, or any updates or any good hints and tips for those that may be listening, to the recording of this. If anybody on the call would like to highlight that or make sure that if I missed anything of benefit, please call it out.
And I saw our Sage dropped a link in the chat to what releases we covered, so you can find that. We have a request to repeat what we said about the PR porting. So what happened is we've been hoping to put together a formal PR merge jam and have kind of dedicated time blocks for everybody to work together on the PRs that were in the backlog. Due to the CVE, the patch releases, and everything related to that, we just wound up not having capacity to put together that sort of a formal event. We will be still trying to port PRs as we can, but we need to have everything done by the code freeze date, which is, I believe, the 17th? Or what day is code freeze again? I should know that. 19th. So if there's anything that you'd like to have ported, reach out to us. We can support you on those things. That answer your question, Ralph?
I think, Cassandra, there's something you said,
Yeah.
so it's worth highlighting, which is with the CVE releases, of course, that have touched all of us in the community. We did actually end up having to alter through a few days here and there. So the dates that we will share are actually not just going to be on this call. We will post out an announcement tomorrow to give everybody an update as to what are the new sort of code freeze dates and what are the new sort of release candidate dates. I think it's really, really important to sort of rally all of us here as a community on the concept of the release candidate. This will essentially be the first time we get a release candidate out, a few weeks ahead of the GA. And of course, we're gonna look for everybody's help to test the release candidate thoroughly and so on, so such that when we get the GA out, we're all comfortable and confident that Sodium is shaping up to be to the right sort of level of quality and configuration that we need. So I think we're committing to get an update out to everybody tomorrow. For those who are listening live or listening to the replay today or reading the meeting minutes today, if you have a PR, it needs to have tests, it needs to have passing tests by the 19th so that it makes it into Sodium.
Ideally by the 18th.
All right. Thanks for the additional information, Mo. Anything else that you want to talk about on the releases or the PRs at this moment? No. Okay, then the next thing is that there's been a lot of discussion in the past several weeks about some of the vulnerable releases. It's come up in core, and so we need to talk about how to handle those vulnerable releases and how that'll look going forward, and Mo is going to cover that one.
Yeah, so this is something, again, would love the feedback of the broader team here in the community. There's been a discussion in the community on what should we do with the out-of-support packages that are out there, given that they are inherently vulnerable to the CVE. And unless somebody patches them, downloading those particular packages or accessing them may produce the risk of propagating this particular vulnerability and or for folks to accidentally reinstall vulnerable packages, salt packages of earlier versions, the unsupported ones. So for this one, unfortunately, it's one that is bound to cause some reaction depending on one's school of thought. So there's a school of thought that says we should keep them out there because people still need to access them, but find ways to flag and or alert folks that they need to absolutely install the package. And of course, that would sort of requires us to figure out ways in which we make sure that people understand that we're capturing their attention. The other school of thought says that consistent with precedent in other projects, those frankly should be removed. Even without a CVE, folks remove a lot of unsupported versions and they put them behind sort of a request, a special request, which actually essentially makes somebody saying, hey, I do need a 2018 or I do need a 2017. It guarantees a little bit more that somebody can pass that package and the patch without the risk of somebody missing that important aspect. So those are two schools of thoughts. We are, as a team, going to take that back to the planning for discussion, and we're going to sort of make a decision. But we're certainly looking for everybody's help to actually make sure that we settle in a way that works for all of us as a community. For those that may be thinking, well, why can't we just go ahead and refresh all the packages? Unfortunately, that is not a viable option. Not for lack of willingness, but it's just simply not an option. SALT, our project, carries a custom setup with regards to the way we do it. We have many, many distributions, the amount of time to do testing, the resources, etc., and reproducing those just makes this, frankly, not a sensible option to pursue. So we're toying between those two. Either we're going to pull the packages out and put a link that says, if you want them, contact us, or we're going to keep them out there and, of course, find ways in which we alert people to the risk associated with trying to accessing them without patching. So any thoughts from folks on the call? Any ideas, please? Any reactions? Anybody favors one path versus the other?
I'm kind of curious if we should do it like the way Ubuntu does it, where they have an archive repo for old stuff, and then they have the actual repo for supported stuff. So if you want old versions, you go to a separate domain.
Yeah, that is an option, Bryce. I think it still doesn't stop people from accessing packages unless they've explicitly read that they need to patch them. But that's definitely worth thinking through. So we should look at the Ubuntu one and see how do they deal with that particular scenario or use case. Ralph or Imran or others, any thoughts on this one, team? Lauren? Yeah, Bernard, you're suggesting, would it be at least possible to write an additional text into the description info so that these are patch versions? Yeah, I think David and Bryce, that's something we can look into as well and see if we can do that. That might, again, go into that scenario in which we highlighted. Thank you for that. I see a message from Ralph. Yeah, so there is a suggestion to actually just pull them. Again, I think what we'll do is we'll ideate on this one, and it's bound to, of course, trigger some additional work for somebody versus the other, and we'll try and mitigate against that. Yeah. In that case, absolutely, Bernard. For sure, there'll be a link to the patches from there. That's sort of the one path. Keep them there, put the link, add the text, put bold red banners and so on. Unfortunately, our community doesn't seem to fully see everything. Of course, we cannot solve every problem, but we can certainly make it very visible that you absolutely need those patches. So I view that you're leaning towards keep them out there, but try and put the link and put the text and so on. So that's good. We have one vote for one way and another vote for the other way. Any other thoughts, team?
So I just sort of feel like this is no different than any other software. Like, I'm not gonna go install Windows XP right now. I could go find it and install it, but I'm not going to. If that makes sense.
So with Windows XP though, they don't still have the original, like if you search for it, it's not like the first thing you're going to find on Microsoft's site, right?
Is ours the first thing you're going to find on our repo?
Well, if you go to repo.solstack.com, everything's there. Old stuff, the same as new.
But the first thing you're going to find is the new stuff.
Yeah, is the instructions for the new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but you go to MSDN, you can still download the original XP. It's there too.
Right. So, I mean, like, I get where people are coming from. I understand that, yeah, like, we don't want people to install old versions, but they shouldn't be anyway.
I just want to know why we're picking on Windows.
I was an old version of Debian, but I just figured that XP had more of a oomph to it.
Is that a snail joke?
No. No. If it was a snail joke, I would be talking about how slow it is when you're running XP.
Oh, are you sure? There might have been a snail joke in there. There might be.
Okay, well, I guess we will work through this, team, and the challenge we have is that our sub-processes typically take a couple of weeks to work through. So we're going to need to make a decision on this one fast and move, because it does appear, we have been told by a security firm that has been helping us through all of this, that there are instances of the vulnerable packages being downloaded. And Bryce, we know that because we can see the pull on them anyway.
Yeah, I haven't looked lately, but that's probably the case.
Yeah, and as a result, they've seen actually certain ports reopen when they had been closed. So it looks like this is real. It looks like people are making the mistake, unfortunately, of going back and either in an automated fashion or without knowing, taking some of these, and they have not necessarily automated applying the patch. It's kind of funny because you can use Salt to do that. But anyway. So we'll conclude on this and we'll share an update with the team. But for those who are listening to this recording afterwards, those who are reading the minutes, if there are any thoughts or ideas, please send them directly to me via DM. This is Moe speaking. And we'll take that to the discussion with the planning team tomorrow. Thank you, Cassandra. I don't think I have anything else on it.
Okay. Send topics on this thought to Moe. That will be in the notes, so now it's written in stone. And that's everything we had on the agenda today. We didn't have anything else that was formal. Did we answer everybody's questions that are posted in the chat? It looks like we did. Does anybody else have questions, discussion points, topics to bring up? I know the minute I say we'll wrap up, somebody will post a question in the chat. So I'm going to wait another minute or so before we do that.
And they'll still post a question.
Exactly. That's how that always works. We will, of course, once we decide how to handle the vulnerable releases, of course, we'll share that out across all the channels. Right now, we're into a cadence where all of the important announcements and a lot of event announcement updates are regularly cross-posted on IRC, Slack, and Google Groups, all within a few minutes of each other. So none of our audiences should be missing those sorts of announcements. I'm not good at jokes, so somebody else has to provide the snail jokes.
Daniel, you're up.
Ooh, put him on the spot.
Or he'll ignore the request. Anybody else got a joke? Or a question?
Can we republish the milestones with the announcements tomorrow? I don't see why we can't.
Yeah, we can take that one. So Sage, when we work on it tomorrow, we can share that.
Yes, we'll make sure
Make it
that's
in.
updated.
Yep, I am making a note of that now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for your contributions. As always, please reach out to me if you have topic suggestions or agenda items you'd like to have during these open hours, or if there are things you'd like to see us do on Twitch, please let me know. We're trying to implement those things as we go. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, team. Bye-bye.
Bye.